Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone is well today. Can I just get a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly? Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so before we begin, obviously this is our support session, so it's not going to be very long. I'm basically going to go over the assignment 2 and sort of what you need to do because it is your first group assignment in this specific module. And obviously there's a lot that we need to consider, with doing a group assignment. Okay, so firstly, just an update before we start. Your assignment 1 is we're almost ready. We're like 90% there. Most of the results have been captured already. I just got a few more that I need to pull through tonight, but it all will be on the system by tonight. And then hopefully the results team will release it by tomorrow. So by tomorrow and hopefully over this weekend, you should have your results ready for you. My apologies, I was just slightly delayed with it. Just was doing some travel and stuff like that. So I was finding it a bit difficult to catch up. But I think we're almost there. Just got a few more for group 2 to grade. All of the group 1s are completed already. So yeah, let's start with our, and then obviously second announcement is on the 8th of May is your final due date for your ICE tasks. Please note that those ICE tasks have a hard closing time at 23:59 on the 8th of May, which is next week Friday, if I'm not mistaken. After this time, the system will not allow you to submit an ICE task at all. So please just make sure that you have all of this done. I have to still grade it in the week and I have to have everything captured and on the system by the 13th of May. So I will not be accepting anything past the 8th of May because I still need time to grade everything. And I don't want to start and then bits and pieces come on and we don't get a notification when there's new assignments or ICE tasks added on from the system perspective. So just make sure by the 8th is your hard deadline. Post the 8th at 23:59, I will not be accepting any more ICE tasks. Okay. Are we all good? Is there any questions so far before we move on to assignment 2? Okay. All right. Let's go. Share my screen quickly. Just tell me if you can see my screen. Okay.
Evening,
Perfect. So as you know, all of you have been split into groups of either 3 or 4. The reason being is some of you had people that you could not communicate with or get into contact with, even though you've tried sending an email to the student email address, you had no communication whatsoever from the relevant party. You will still need to continue your assignment without that person. If that person comes on board at a later stage and makes contact with me, then I will have to have them complete the assignment alone, which means that there is no peer assessment that they will have. But I will sort that out at a later stage if someone has to make contact with me. Some of the things you need to be considerate on with regards to the specific group assignment is there is 2 options. Okay, so I just want to go down to this and then we'll come up again. All right, so you can see there's something here in point 5. Can you all see my screen where I'm at point 5? Okay, cool. So point 5 says peer review. The rating of interaction within the team during the completion of this assignment with a key focus on how each team member interacted with the team and how they conducted themselves when handling the individual tasks, duties, work assigned to them as part of their contribution. So I, Nerissa, I'm, let's say, the group leader, and I choose, and Nicole and Lara are both in my group. I need to peer review Nicole, and I need to peer review Lara. and I need to do an assessment based on what was their accountability with the assignment, what was their responsibility, did they fulfill their responsibility, etc. So we're going to go through that peer review document so you know exactly what questions are to be asked. So if you are submitting this, you obviously have a marking rating, okay, for 10 marks. And then as an individual, so yourself, you need to now do a self-review, comment on how your own interaction was with the team, how you handled the jobs that was assigned to you, what learnings you've had from it, what was the key strengths, what was your key weaknesses. That is for 5 marks. Okay, so listen to me very carefully. When you are submitting your assignment or when you're doing your group assignment, you're going to have a one group leader. Okay, that group leader is responsible for submitting the assignment with all of the group members' names on that assignment cover page, as well as a peer review that he or she has done for the peers, as well as a self-review based on how they're reviewing themselves. So there's going to be 3 attachments by the group leader. The rest of the people in the group will not be submitting an assignment on ARC. They will be submitting a peer review and a self-review only. Okay, so every person is going to get a different mark. So if, for instance, you are part of a group and you have not contributed at all in the group. So I'll go back to my example. So it's Nerissa, Nicole, and Lara that is currently in the group. And Lara, I'm so sorry I'm picking on you, but Lara has not contributed anything at all. Me as a group leader, I have seen no accountability and responsibility by Lara. And Nicole also did a peer review on Lara, and Nicole said there was absolutely no accountability and responsibility by Lara. I know Lara did not contribute much to the assignment because as per the peer reviews, that's the information that I'm getting. Lara will not get the same result as Nicole or Nerissa. Are we clear? Do we understand what we need to do? Okay. All right, so I'll do a detail for you guys and I'll post it on ARC as well, just so that you have an understanding. So just to recap, the group leader needs to submit the group assignment, and you have a peer review, and then you have a self-review. That's it. That's a group leader submitting. As individuals in the group, but not a group leader, you are only submitting a peer review and a self-review. That's it. You are not submitting an assignment. There is a question here. I just want to go to the question. Sorry, if the group members didn't show up, do we still do a peer review for them? Yes. So for instance, so I'm going to take this back a little bit, right? If, for instance, we've got Nerissa, Lara, Nicole, and Candace in a group. So there's 4 people in a group. And Candace, I'm sorry if I'm going to pick on you, right? But let's say Candace did not answer a single text, did not answer a single email. There was no way that we could communicate with Candace at all. Nerissa, Lara, and Nicole are the ones that are doing the assignment. Those are the people that will have peer reviews. Those are the people that will have a self-assessment or self-review. Those are the people's names who would be on the assignment. Candace did not answer. Candace did not join a single meeting. Candace was not present, so Candace does not get a grade. I hope that answers your question. But if Candace did show up, but Candace didn't contribute towards the assignment, then you have to do a peer review for Candace, but you're not scoring Candace the score that she's supposed to be getting. Okay. All right. So we're going to touch on this again, I promise you, okay? So as we can see, it is a group assignment. It is a prerequisite that a peer review component is required, and your members may not receive the same final mark, right? Secondly, referencing, absolutely important. I just have to say that I'm very, very proud of this class because majority of the class, like 99% of you had done referencing correctly. You had done in-text referencing. You had done end-of-text referencing. So I'm very happy with the instructions that was followed in terms of referencing, because you do not want to lose 5 and 10% of your grade just based on the fact that you did not reference it correctly. Okay, so I'm not going to touch too much on that. So here, this is your additional assignment instructions in terms of your font size, your formatting, all of this that we had gone through for assignment 1 already. The structures on assignment 1 was done really well, I'm not going to lie. One thing that I need to point out is the fact that some students had used a lot of point form and they weren't explaining it when they were using point form. So if you are using point form, I'm not telling you not to, but you need to say, like, for instance, it says here, conduct wider and broader research. That's your point. What information does this give me? Nothing. So you now need to go ahead and explain what you mean by conducting wider and broader research. That's how you're now going to get your gradings. Okay, so I'll leave you to read all of this. Take note of the word count limitations as you did the previous assignment essay. Then we got to your assignment topic. Okay, you're a supply chain management specialist. You're approached by a nut factory to compile a report on their strategic supply chain management approach. Read the articles, conduct additional research. This is absolutely important, the additional research. Don't just take it as surface value as what the textbook is saying. Always do extra research on the nut factory and the industry before compiling your report. Your report should be addressed to the nut factory's board of directors to assist them in adapting their current supply chain management strategy. So you need to holistically think. When you are submitting this assignment, it is for the board of directors for this specific factory. Okay, so your report should be 2,500 words, excluding cover page, reference page, appendices, anything else that you are adding in. Cover page, very important. Topic name, assignment 2, and student numbers, full name and surname of the people in your group. Introduction, you need to do the introduction based on all of these 3 questions and not just on question 1. This is 4-5 marks. So I will not give you any marks if you only do the introduction on question 1. You need to be able to marry all of the 3 questions together in order for you to get that mark. All right. Then you do a general conclusion. Also, general conclusion is going to be on all 3 of these questions. We're going to go through these questions just now. Then we've got your peer review, which we'll go through at the end of the document, and then your self-review, which will also go through the end of the document. And then references, which, as you know, goes at the end, and any additions you want to add on, maybe a specific report that you've now developed, etc. We can go through that as well. Okay, so I'm obviously not going to run through the nut factory's entire case study. So there's 2 articles here together. There's a 3rd article there, and then your questions start. Okay, so the questions basically start as supply chain management has gained traction as one of the leading organizational functions that can be leveraged to create superior products, provide customers with excellent service, and create long-term customer relationships as an element of value-add supply chain. Supply chain management has become one of the key considerations during strategic decision making. Consequently, organizations no longer compete from product to product, but rather supply chain to supply chain. So you need to analyze the applicability of contemporary management concepts to the nut factory, focusing on their supply chain management strategy and the potential to compete in an international market. All the information that you will find in the case study and the 3 articles that was provided. Your argument must also take into consideration the potential industry growth and the ethical and traceability dilemmas outlined in the article supplied above. Your analysis should be between 400 to 500 words. Okay, so the first one is explaining the concept of sustainability and using practical examples to show how the nut factory can achieve this sustainability throughout their supply chain operations. So sustainability, we know, is sitting in your first learning unit. You want to speak about quality, you want to speak about obviously an expansion of quality and how sustainability within that specific business has, improved, customer relationship, customer loyalty, all of those wonderful things. I'm not going to go too much into it. And then that is for 5 marks. So giving me a one-liner and saying that quality needs to improve over a period of time is not going to get you anywhere. So please make sure you have enough fat. I'm not telling you do entire paragraphs because you also have a word count that you need to consider, but there needs to be quality in the information you are providing to me. Quantity doesn't always work, but quality does. So make sure that you are giving me quality stuff and you are not re-explaining what you've told me in sentence 1. You are now converting it into sentence 2 of the same thing just said differently. Okay. Then in question 2, to capitalize on the projected growth, the nut factory is considering placing a warehouse in the SADC region. Critically examine the role of government decisions and market dynamics at the point when these regional warehouse location decisions are made, and use practical examples to substantiate it. Also tells you need a minimum of 2 additional academic sources. So here you're going to go to your different regional location factors, which is all in your textbook, and you are going to use this as an influence of why you would rather go from a local perspective as opposed to an international perspective. What is the different factors of decision making when you're choosing a location and the government decisions that fall in tune with that. And this is for 10 marks. So if I would speak on 2 different roles of government decision making and sort of the market dynamics for 5 marks each. Okay. Then we go into the next one, which is looking at the factors influencing location and the government decisions. That's also sitting in Learning Unit 1. Then we go into contemporary organizations require supply chain managers to keep a keen eye on operations to make sure that goods are delivered effectively and cost efficiently to meet customer requirements. Then we have forecasting and demand planning, procurement management, and operations are just typical examples of how the organizations drive internal processes and partnering with organization both from an internal and external perspective. So analyze the roles played by forecasting and demand planning, procurement and operations so that they can compete in international market. So your argument must also take into consideration the potential industry growth and the ethical traceability dilemmas outlined in the article supplied above. So the first question, apply the demand planning process to the supply chain operations at the nut factory and use practical examples to show how they could implement such a process as they're embarking on expanding into the SADC region. So the demand planning process is roughly it's actually a 4-step process. I'm not even going to go into what the process is. So you need to list that. And then we're looking at an average of, let's say, 5 marks per process. Okay. Then the second question. Challenge, remember the 5 marks also, just so I can go back there a little bit. You need to look at, firstly, what that process is. Then you need to look at the theory behind the process, and then you need to provide your application and your practical examples for that process. So that's where your 5 marks per step is going to come into play. Then we've got the next question, which is challenges in operations management have an impact on the broader the broader impact. Challenges in operations management have an impact on the broader organizations. Critique the impact of globalization and the fourth industrial revolution on supply chain operations of the nut factory as they continue to expand their supply chain across the country. So you need to speak of globalization and you need to speak on the fourth industrial revolution and then make it in tune with what the nut factory speaks about. So 5 marks on globalization, 5 marks on the fourth industrial revolution. Also, minimum of 2 additional academic sources to be used that is outside of your textbook. Then the last question, analyze the role of warehouse efficiency for distribution for the nut factory on their quest to compete in international market. Your argument must consider the projected industrial growth as discussed in the supplied article above. Analysis should be between 600 to 700 words. Okay, so you can see this is also a bit of a bigger essay. First question, give examples of how the nut factory can utilize cycle stock, safety stock, or buffer stock to ensure that adequate inventory holding and optimal inventory management throughout their supply chain. So this is in Learning Unit 4. You're going to speak about cycle stock. You're going to speak about the buffer stock, and then the explanations thereof with the application to the nut factory. So 5 marks cycle stock, 5 marks for safety and buffer stock. Then assess any 2 factors influencing warehouse operations and show how the factors can impact the nut factory's expansion into into international markets. So the factors influencing warehouse design, you're just going to choose 2. There's quite a few that we have in the textbook. Find the 2 that you want to speak about that makes sense for the nut factory and what the expansion is going to be into international markets. Have your explanation ready and your application. So very similarly, 5 marks each for 2 factors, 1 for naming the factor, 1 for or 2 for explaining, giving us a theoretics around it, and 2 for giving us a practical example or application to the nut factory. And then lastly, identifying 2 modes of transportation that the nut factory supply chain team must pay attention to as they expand into international markets. Use practical examples to substantiate it. You're basically going to choose 2 different modes of transport that works for the nut factory. Is it road? Is it rail? Is it ASC pipeline? You're going to choose one. You're going to explain why you chose it, and then you're going to give an application of how it applies to the nut factory. Okay, so that's basically the assignment, the theory part of it done. I mean, the theory part of it, I think, equates to, if I'm not mistaken, about 70 marks. Just rather confirm that quickly, just so that you have an idea, 30, 60, 75 marks in total. So just those 3 questions that we went through is 70 marks. Okay, then you have Appendix A, which is your peer review. Your peer review, it says big and bold here, not to be shared with team members. Do not go and share it with your team and ask them, what do you think about what I think about you? Please do the review on your own on what you think about the person and their responsibility and accountability towards that assignment. So you're going to put your group, you don't have to call it a name. Maybe you can say group 1, team 5, if you're in that group, and the relevant date, and the person's name here, who you are reviewing. Then you're going to answer the relevant questions that form part of this. Okay, are there 3? Are there 4? Are there 5? And then you'll have a total here at the bottom. And then if you want, you write a little story, only if you want to. Let's say, for instance, a person got 5 out of 40. Then you've got a lot to say about a person who you scored 5 out of 40. So write your little story here if you need to. And then tell me what was the problem, what had happened, etc. I've had students previously who had done group assignments and done peer reviews where they separately sent me an email telling me that this person didn't do what they were supposed to. I'm not going to now go back to an email whilst I'm grading. So if everything's on one document, that's perfectly fine. Okay. So this is obviously out of 10 marks. And then we've got a self-evaluation, which is for yourself. You're going to read through all of the reflection report criteria. You're going to put a little total there at each time. So obviously the rubrics here at the top. Either you're scoring yourself from 1 to 5, 5 obviously being the best, 1 being the worst. And you're going to note down 1 to 5. And then you're going to see your aggregate. You don't have to worry about this. I will sort this out, but you're going to mark yourself here, and then I will sort out what your aggregate is. Okay. And that's basically the assignment. Okay. we've got some questions here. Let's go. Do we each submit the assignment or one member? Okay, so maybe you came a little bit late before I explained it. So the team, you will obviously have to choose a group leader. The group leader is the one that will submit the assignment. But you, as a group member, you need to submit your peer review and your self-assessment on ARC as well. So all of you will obviously be getting different marks. That marks is captured on ARC as well as it's captured on your student portal, but any feedback and breakdown of the results is going to be with the group leader. So the group leader needs to take responsibility to share this information with you. If every person submits an assignment, it becomes absolutely confusing when it comes to grading, because I now have to go into each and every assignment, whereas I can see which student has basically submitted the assignment as a group leader. I can grade that and I can then share the results for all 4 of the students in the group, even if it's deferring results, but I can close that group off completely. Therefore, I'm saying only one student to basically submit. Take into account that I would suggest you submit your assignment separately. Okay, if you are the group leader, you are submitting your assignment first, and you're submitting a second attachment, which is your peer review and self-assessment. The reason being, if you're submitting everything as one attachment, your Turnitin score ends up being sky high, because that is obviously a commonly used document and it's not flagged on Turnitin. So you end up sitting with like a 90% Turnitin score, for instance, and it completely shoots out your score. So submit your assignment completely separately, and then your peer review and your self-assessment can be on one document, but submitted as a second attachment. Okay, and the rest of you in the team that are submitting a self-review and peer assessment, do not worry about your Turnitin score. I will take the Turnitin score that is from the assignment only. Okay. The team lead submits the assignment. Okay, perfect. You answered my question. Thank you. Will a peer and self-review template be provided to us, or we have to create a new one based on the ones in the assignment, because information on the assignment can't be copied? This is a very difficult one, okay, because I also cannot download this. However, from what I can see, it can be copied and pasted. So let's try and do this. So copy and paste it. Just want to try something quickly, and then I know that it's true. Yes, it can be. So you can copy it from here, and you can paste it onto a Word document, and you can print out your Word document. I know it is a mission, but it does, unfortunately, with all of assignments now being downloaded and shared with like future students, etc. I think it is a real thing, and that's the reason why a lot of it is locked. So copy and paste. It does work. I tried it right now. Okay, and that basically is everything to do with your assignment 2. I am obviously available on WhatsApp. I was a little better this week with responding very quickly. So call me or WhatsApp me if you need to. Send me a voice note and I will respond to you if you or your group are stuck with anything. Okay. All the best. Your assignment is due on the 14th of May, I think. So you've got a good 2 weeks or so to go, which is more than enough time. I do know working in groups is not the greatest. However, I can tell you it will build you up for a very great future if you get this working.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes, hello.
I'm so sorry. I'm on my phone and my chat box is not working. So is it okay if I ask my question like
Of
this?
course, of course, of course. I welcome hearing someone else's voice besides my own. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, I joined a little bit late. I just
Mhm.
wanted to make sure of when the group leader submits the assessment. I just want to make sure. So in the front page, we obviously have to put all the ST numbers and everything. I just want to make sure what everything to put so everyone gets acknowledged for it and not leave anything out.
Yeah, so ST numbers, so student numbers, 100%, full name and surname of every person that's in the group.
I see. Should we put that in the like the front
Cover,
page of the assessment or like at the end?
cover page, please.
Cover page. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Sure, no problem. Any other question?
Sorry, Narissa.
Yes.
So for the understand the self-review, that is one for myself. So we four in a group. So
Yes.
I'm gonna have 3 peer reviews and my self-assessment, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, no, then that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, no problem at all. Any other question?
Assignment 1, when will the marks be released?
Hopefully as a group one's all done. I just got a little bit more left for group two to capture, which I'm doing tonight. So hopefully by tomorrow or maybe Saturday, I think the team's working on Saturday to release results. So
Okay.
let's say worst case scenario on Saturday. So all of group one is done already, but they have to just check and they release.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Hi, ma'am. I just have one more question.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure one more time. So the group leader submits, and then the group leader submits their own peer review, and the other 3 students submits their own peer review on their own arc.
Yes, exactly that. So group
Perfect.
leader will submit assignment as one attachment. Second attachment will be peer review and self-assessment, just not to interfere with the Turnitin. And then the rest of the group members are only submitting peer reviews and self-assessments or self-reviews.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Anything else? Okay, I think we're all good. Thank you so much, guys. Have a fabulous long weekend. And then I'm trying to give you more time to make contact with your groups as well and set some time. But this weekend is a perfect time to start because 2 weeks flies by like no man's business. So good luck and all the best. And we'll chat again in 2 weeks, actually.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
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 Bye.